But for the Skip stuff, I was like, oh, no, that's a jab. That hurts. You're going to go after the co-host so soon. You didn't care.
I didn't look at it that way.
Got it.
I would have looked at it that way if Shannon left of his own volition. I'm telling you he didn't. I'm telling you he was pushed out.
That's the first time I've ever heard that.
Well, I'm telling you, and it's fact. Now, they can deny it. He wouldn't. I can promise you that. He was pushed out. He didn't want to leave. He was notified that your services would no longer be needed. But again, that's his story to tell.
Course.
But I'm telling you what I know. I'm giving you facts.
Via the Joe Budden podcast, ESPN's Stephen A. Smith made a big revelation on the falling out of former co-workers Shannon Sharpe and Skip Bayless.
I saw me from the standpoint of I was let go in 2009 and left for dead. And they were writing my epitaph, and they were like, Stephen A's career's over. He blew it. He had the opportunity of a lifetime. He effed it up. There was nobody in the present-day Stephen A. Smith position as the guy in sports media, as the executive producer for the #1 sports morning show, that could speak up for me at that time.
This is a lot to take in, so let's discuss the timeline. So this is a story that we have discussed ever since Damar Hamlin's cardiac arrest on the football field, and he was hit on that Monday Night Football game. Shannon Sharpe did not appreciate what Skip Bayless said about Damar Hamlin because it was very clear, and I thought Matt Barnes put this very well, that Skip Bayless knew what he was doing when he fired off that tweet. Why? Because this man lives for virality. He will play up to the cameras in his dorky Dallas Cowboys hat and his dorky Dallas Cowboys jersey and do dorky-ass moves over and over and over again to the cameras to placate into the minds and hearts of the dumb American sports fan, okay? And his stuff does go viral because he makes himself out to be that way with his facial expressions, his, we lost again, we lost, Zeke, we lost. He does it for attention. With that tweet that he fired off, it was carefully crafted for Skip to give his opinion on how everyone needs to get over it and they just need to play the damn football game. Shannon Sharpe didn't like it. Shannon Sharpe sat out the next day. What I find to be very interesting, though, is that in the aftermath of all of that, right, Shannon left Skip alone that day to cover his own behind and do the show on his own. Painful watch. In that monologue, quick sidebar, Skip Bayless did not apologize for what he said. It was not an apology as some people on Twitter portrayed it as. He never said, I am deeply sorry, I sincerely apologize. There was no apology that took place. It was just Skip realizing that he was in the wrong. And yet, what I found to be very interesting, Shannon goes back the next day. They have, the bickering back and forth, mainly because Skip Bayless does not appreciate that Shannon Sharpe said, I thought he should have taken it down. Skip interjects, I'm not taking it down. I'm not taking it down. No way in hell I'm taking it down. That's when they go back and forth. And Shannon is just like, you can't even let me get through a monologue. They go back and forth a little more. And then he's like, all right, let's go, Jen, the moderator. So Shannon goes back. So clear that there's so much tension. It felt like they were even playing up the tension at times on that show. Yet during that entire, let's say, era, until Shannon Sharpe left Undisputed and took the Club Shay Shay podcast with him, Stephen A. Smith said, you don't leave your seat. But now he's saying, you never give up your chair is what he said. But now he's saying he was pushed out. I'm just curious what the punishment is. Honestly, very curious what Stephen A. believes the punishment is, because this is the same man who gave up his chair multiple times to play up his acting and leave his chair because a conversation would get heated. Or he didn't participate in First Take because he went on a book tour to promote his own writing. or he was late to his chair because he was promoting his own book. So it's a bit hypocritical there. But what I find to be also really revealing, if this is true, is that the writing from Michael McCarthy, AJ Perez, like great work at Front Office Sports, Stephen A. Smith is validating what they reported, which was there is infighting here. It seems like Skip Bayless's days as being the head honcho at FS1 are numbered, though that didn't necessarily pan out. Furthermore, they wrote of how Shannon Sharpe, Skip Bayless perceives Shannon Sharpe to be a bigger star than him, and he doesn't want that. Now, I'm not saying that Michael Irvin, Keyshawn Johnson, Richard Sherman, Rachel Nichols can't be that person who outshines Skip Bayless's star, but it really does leave the sports fan to feel like Skip Bayless went after and signed these people to fill that chair that Shannon Sharpe had because he doesn't want to be outshined. He wants to have the Mario star as long as possible. Let me also say this. Shannon Sharpe was becoming a bigger star than Skip Bayless. Bayless gave him the platform, but it's not like we didn't know who Shannon was. His takes were always pretty good. His football knowledge is off the charts. His perspective on social issues was really promising at Fox Sports 1 as well, specifically with NFL owners and the Brett Favre Mississippi welfare scandal with his alleged involvement. How I view this is ESPN understands what is popular. That's why they signed Pat McAfee. That's why they signed Shannon Sharpe. They are also, keeping it a buck, participating in a model that is decaying by the day. So they will do whatever it takes to remain relevant, but also signing those two keeps them relevant. And I'll end with this. I think Shannon Sharpe is one of the best in sports media with the perspectives that he shares. I'm curious to see how him and Stephen A. go back and forth, because it's obviously very different than Skip and Shannon, where they both get a certain amount of time to talk and they can't really talk over each other. This is obviously a tinkered format, which I think would favor Shannon in the conversational way that they want to go about the show. Most importantly for him, he gets to keep his podcast, which has over a million subscribers on YouTube. So the audience is there, and they will absolutely follow him wherever he goes.